Hello, everyone. This is Eric Roach with Summit Metals, and we have a really exciting interview for you today. I am super pleased to be joined by Sal from Salivate Metals. I know you know the voice. It's amazing. The intro, we've even joked about it between the two of us. We're really excited to have him on to get his insights on gold and silver, the markets, kind of to understand his channel and really benefit from his expertise in this market. I can tell you on a personal level that there's been many times when he and I have discussed things on the phone. I've asked his opinion. He's been incredibly grateful in advising us and helping us, and we could not be happier to have you here. So Sal, thank you so much for joining us in the interview.
It truly is an honor to be with you guys, and it's been amazing. You know, I've been a customer of you guys for a while here now too, and it's just amazing, the service and the prices, and I can attest to the quality and to the business ethics that you guys have. It's remarkable and amazing. So it's an honor to be here. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. And I know you say that with experience because you've been doing this a long time. And I have to tell you, of all the people I've talked to that I've met, in terms of their understanding of all the little nuances of every product out there, you are number one on my list for understanding it. So again, thank you so much. If it's okay with you, I'm going to jump right in because I know your audience and ours are really interested in learning these things. So
sure thing.
All right. So let's talk about the origins of your channel. You know, what inspired you back? You know, when did you start? What inspired you to do it? This passion you have for precious metals? Talk to us.
Well, it goes way back to when my grandfather gave me a 1906 cleaned Indian head cent. So it was base metals, but it was that kind of sparked my curiosity about coins in general, and essentially old coins and the like. And then down where my grandfather lived, there was a local coin shop. And and I went to it and found a Johnson Mathey silver bar, 1 ounce silver bar. And that bar, and I don't know specifically where it is because it's a very common bar, even was back then, but I have others like it, so it's probably intermingled in there. But I wish I could have found the exact bar and held it out. This was my very first silver bar, but that got me interested in precious metals as a way to, well, I didn't even know about as a wealth protection device. You know, I didn't understand the nuances of what it means throughout history. I just thought it was cool because it was metal. I'm somebody that likes heavy metal in more ways than one.
Yeah,
and
true, yes.
That really got me into the precious metals. And of course, all I could really afford was gold, but I mean, was silver rather. And then I had a couple little gold pieces, but I started stacking and collecting silver coins. And really was more collecting them than stacking them until I really truly started to understand the markets. And then once around the middle of the 2000s, about 2004, 2005, maybe a little before then, I started to study a little bit about what was going on. And of course, YouTube didn't come into existence until 2005. I never planned on showing or having a channel of any sort on social media. I just wanted to accumulate gold and silver, but the price stayed really stagnant for a while. Then came the financial crisis of 2007 and 2007 through 2008.
Yeah.
And then I started getting more interested, and I watched some YouTube videos about it. And there was not really a community back then, but there was talk in several channels kind of on their own talking about what silver meant and how special silver was, specifically silver, not so much gold. There was some stuff on gold, but there was one channel that just showed off some gold coins, but that was it. And I love the fact that they could kind of show and talk about it. And then came along the unboxings, which started about 2011 and 2010. And that's when the silver went to $50 an ounce and gold climbed way up there to $1,900 an ounce, which is a bargain nowadays for gold. But silver got close to $50 an ounce. Then I started watching more. Then a community started to form as people got excited about silver. And then the original, what I call the OG of the stacking community, the original gangsters of the stacking community, I had these channels that were created in late 2011 and into 2012. And I started to seriously consider maybe I'll do something like that. but I had to think of something that's different than just the name silver in the title. And what could really just sum up what this was about? How can I set myself apart from some of these other channels? And that's where the personality, well, I mean, this is kind of my personality anyways, if you met me in person, but there is a little bit of a nuance to it. And the name Salivate Metal came to be, and didn't think it would really get in to do much or grow a whole lot, just for fun. And then I just stuck with it. You know, this channel is a very slow growing channel, but that happened in January of 2013 and been going ever since, and just giving my views and complimenting what some other folks were saying, but trying to be original as well. And that's how the channel was born.
So here's, I know I've asked you this before because I just find it amazing. I understand you created we're over 7,500 videos, and sometimes you'll do 1 or 2 videos a day, and you're so consistent. Your throughput is unbelievable. How do you do that? How do you find something fresh and to talk about and to communicate to this amazingly engaged audience that you have?
Well, it's 7,700 videos, sorry.
Wow. Yeah.
But it's basically a lot of research, and also people send me stuff. People email me, hey, this looks like an interesting topic. But a lot of it is just research and looking around. And of course, if there's breaking news in the markets, I try to be on top of it. But sometimes it is a challenge, as you can imagine. So I've got to find things or just come up with stuff in my head, like, and you know, or a combination of thinking of a topic, doing some research on it, referencing different aspects of it. The video I posted this morning, as of the recording of this interview, was something that it's one of my topics about, you know, tips for stacking, and, you know, about how you should not buy gold and silver unless you answer 4 questions, you know. And so things like that, you know, analysis of the markets. And when I say analysis, I use that term very loosely. I'm not a professional by any stretch of any imagination, including my cat's imagination. but it's about really just finding topics, and some of these topics have been talked about before. Others are original, and just doing videos and just talking about it. But the other trick to it is I never script my videos. And you can tell because sometimes I'll have you-knows and uhs in there, and I just kind of leave that stuff in there. And I'm not doing a lot of fancy graphics or anything like that. I just have my intro and show precious metals and talk. It's really more like a podcast in that sense, but I do like to showcase some of the offerings so people have at least something to look at. And sometimes I'll pan around or zoom around. I don't think I might be able to, I can pan around and zoom around on some of the stuff, like this cool Summit Metals wallet, this 1 gram wallet. Yeah. That's pretty cool. So so that's kind of what I do. I do have to dedicate time to it, obviously. It is like a full-time job. I work a full-time job, and this is like a full-time job. I mean, I don't like to consider it a job because it's fun, and I love the community, and it's a great thing, and I'm honored to be associated with you guys in this journey. So thank you.
Thank you. For those who haven't already, please subscribe and like the video. We have so much great content, and this obviously is one of those. One of the things that's pretty funny between us is Sal has come up with a name for this collection using our Graham wallet, as he's the, you call it what, Sal? The grandfather, I believe. So.
I am the grandfather, and these are my grandchildren. Yes, indeed. I've always wanted to be a grandfather with an M, and here we go. And these are very nice, attractive bars. And the fact that they're more thinner and wider, you can really see the design. Scottsdale Mint has done an amazing job on these. And so each one of them fits in each of these slots. And what people don't, the thing is when these were created by Jose, they were meant to be literally business card size. And some people have complained and said, well, only 8 10th-ounce coins will fit in there. Well, then get 2 wallets and get 16.
Right.
The 10th-ounce size is very small. And so the fact that you have them in there, can fit 8 in there, is great. I mean, that's perfect. It doesn't have to be an even 10, Yeah,
I think they're amazing because, as you know, not only, they look bigger, obviously, on film, but they're also incredibly thin. It's just a gram of gold in each
Right.
one of those. And so the odds of you losing it, I think, are great. And having a wallet like that is just a great way to secure it. I love it. I think Jose came up with a world beater idea. I love it. So let me shift gears real quick, because you touched on it about your community, and you have a special relationship with your community. There's times when you'll call us and say, hey, I'm hearing this or this. What's the story with that? We love that. We want to be connected to our customers. We think it's all about relationships. You obviously do. Give me some ideas of some of the interactions you've had with your customers, not just about us, but about the market, about different things that are happening, and why that's so important to you to stay engaged like that.
The tagline of the channel, and there's several taglines, but it's a multitude of gratitude. That started on day one. And it really is about the viewers. The channel would be nothing without the viewers. So I like to show appreciation for them. And the best way I can do that is interact with them. If they take the time to comment and to watch, the least I can do is thank them. Number one. Number two, answer their comments. And 3 times a week, I will do a live stream where I'll respond to comments verbally on a live stream. And it's a more personal way to interact and have people come, and it's amazing because there's a great community there that people show up where they're chatting and they're interacting with each other and with me, and it's just a great way to really give a sense of the community. The precious metals community on YouTube in particular is already great. It's really amazing. There's been some kind of branching out of that community to some extent, but regardless, we come together, and I think in a sense, my live streams provide a way for a lot of different folks of different backgrounds that have this common love of precious metals to be able to interact and enjoy and goof off a little bit too. We like to have fun there as well.
Well, I think it speaks to, again, how I mentioned you're incredibly knowledgeable about so many aspects of every product that's been made in this space. It speaks to the fact of how confident you are that you're willing to do a live stream, right? I mean, most people would be afraid that they'd get asked a lot of things they didn't know and maybe look like they're uninformed, which clearly is not your case. You're not that guy. You're so amazingly informed. It's incredible. But
well, I appreciate you saying that, but I have to correct you a little bit there, because the more I learn, the more I don't know about coins, about the precious metal markets. There's a lot I don't know, and I admit it. If somebody asks a question I don't really understand it or don't know, I'm going to tell them, and I learn a lot from the audience. I really do, and so it's a give and take in that regard. And I'm not afraid to admit when I'm wrong. And there's been plenty of times, whenever I tell people, hey, I'm not a professional, I don't give the disclaimers like most others do. I just say, I'm not, but I'm just giving a guess, and maybe an educated guess, but a guess nonetheless about where silver and gold are going to go, and what drives the prices of gold and silver. But I try to be as realistic as possible, because it's a disservice to my audience to hyperinflate market sentiment or a narrative of price suppression as being the sole thing, and it's about to pop wide open. It just there's a lot of nuance in the markets, and the natural market is extremely powerful, and that natural market is based mostly on psychology, which is emotion, and it's tough to measure that. It's very fickle.
So let's shift a little bit, and let's talk about strategy. So you've seen gold and silver, you've been involved in it for years, you've seen it go up, you've seen it go down, you've seen it move around. What strategies would you recommend for a new investor versus, say, a seasoned investor?
Number one is to not look at it as an investment. I would look at it as a savings vehicle. First and foremost, the biggest benefit to holding gold and silver is it is wealth that exists outside of any kind of system that mankind has created. And once you have that understanding, it gives you a little different viewpoint on price and about how the metals have performed over the long course of time. Because over the long course of time, if you look at a chart over the past 125 years, and you can find those at macrotrends.com, and you draw a line through it, the price of gold and silver, when you look at it adjusted for inflation, they have held their own. Adjusted for inflation, these have maintained their value. This has lost its value to the tune of about 97 to 99% since the inception of the Federal Reserve Act of December the 23rd, 1913. This thing is really a losing proposition. However, it is money, and no one would throw this dollar bill away. I don't care how rich you are. If you saw this laying on the ground, unless you have a really bad back, you'd probably pick it up. You know what I'm saying? And so, people trash talk the dollar. You'll never hear that on me, as far as, because we need them to. We need them. They're very fungible. Yeah. It's bad money. It's bad money because of what's behind it. What's propping it up.
Okay, now Sal, I'm gonna position you now a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna tighten your circle here. I'm a brand new investor. Should I buy silver? Should I buy grams of gold, maybe some fractional? Like, where would you suggest I start?
I would start, if you're new, by asking yourself a couple of questions. What is my end goal here? What is my level of understanding? I would research gold and silver, gain a lot of knowledge before you buy a single gram of gold or silver. And so I would say research, and part of that research is understanding how silver and gold have protected your wealth over the course of, or have protected wealth in general over the course of many years. And then the second thing is understanding the markets, that the prices are going to move. You may purchase a 1 ounce bar like this, and all of a sudden the price of silver goes down, $1 maybe. And then you're like, oh, I just lost $1. But not only have you lost $1, you lost the premiums above that spot price that you had. And people need to understand that. If they go to buy gold and silver and go to sell it the next day, unless the price has gone up and it's got to go up above the premiums, they're not going to get their money back for it. So it's a long-term proposition. And aside from that, I probably would start by getting ounces for silver, probably buy a couple 1 ounce silver coins. And I would suggest getting coins like the Silver Eagle, if the premiums are not way out of whack. And that has happened with the Eagles in recent years. We've seen them go crazy. So watch the market. What is the normal premium? Look for, shop around for the best bullion dealer out there that's going to give the best service at the best price. And Summit Metals has proven itself to be one of those. I'm not just saying that because you're sponsoring my channel, but I've actually done research and seen that you guys have been a low price leader oftentimes for many of the products that you sell. So I encourage viewers, if you're getting involved, to do your research, stack up, see what the prices are, but service is incredibly important too. In some ways, I would much rather pay a little bit more for a product at a little bit higher of a price if I know I'm going to get great service.
Agreed. I completely agree. And you're talking about in the margin, which is often pennies. It's just not that different, but service is a big difference. It's clearly a differentiator. So let me move along again. So I
hope I answered that question.
No, perfectly. No, thank you very, very much. Here's my question though. So you've avoided, and it was one of the real reasons that we were driven to want to speak with you, because your channel is highly educational, and it's not full of the clickbait and the crazy assertions, and you know what I'm talking about, the silver to 5,000 by tomorrow at 8 a.m. that kind of stuff. You've stayed completely legitimate, and yet you have to balance kind of the educational side of what you do with making it entertaining. How do you do that?
Well, it's tough because I do get some accusations of clickbait this, and I have to pick titles that are going to catch the viewer's attention. And if I'm going to do that, I want to make sure that I back up what I'm saying with the title. And so I may, for instance, talk about an analyst who says, this analyst says that silver is going to hit $73 by the end of this year. And I'll say, hey, this is what this person is saying. Watch out for stuff like this. If they're saying this definitely and to buy silver now because it's going to go up, watch out. I basically do that as a warning. So in that aspect of it is somewhat educational, but it's also news related as well too. And I do like to provide education, but I do really, in a sense, intermix that in with the news. And I think what my more popular videos are sort of news related, but balance out the news and the education, and to try to find titles that people are going to click on. I call them click friendly. But if they're going to be friendly, I'm going to make sure that I can back up the content with what the title is.
Agreed. Yeah. All right. So let's put you on the spot a little bit. Not that we're not doing that already. But,
not spot price, right?
Yeah. But let's talk a little bit about kind of where you see the markets going. If I were to ask you, where will silver be a year from now? Where will gold be a year from now? What would you say?
Well, every year for the last 4 years, I've done that to myself. I said I do prediction videos of where I think gold and silver are going to go by the end of the year. And I do that very comfortably because I tell folks, hey, this is just my thought, and I'm doing it so far out that, I'm probably more likely to be wrong than right. But it's fun to do just for the entertainment purposes and just to get a notion, because no one can tell what's going to happen a year from now. But I would say probably, as far as for gold and silver a year from right now, because I made my year-end predictions back in January for this year, and that was $2,900 gold. We're past that now. And $36 silver. We're pretty far away from that now. But a year from right now, I'm probably going to stick with $36 silver for the year from a year from right now. I just don't see silver. There's so much working against silver. There's been the Atlanta Fed, one of the Atlanta Fed governors said that we are headed into a pretty negative growth for GDP. We're starting to see that now. If we have 2 quarters of that, then that, I guess, is a technical definition of a recession. And we may be stepping into that. Now, there's a lot of different aspects to the silver market, but one of the things that recession does is it decreases demand for goods and services because we're in a recession, people can't afford. Silver is in a lot of things that we consume. From phones to cars to everything else. If people aren't buying that as much, then the demand for silver will go down. And I think that's going to affect the price in a negative way. But I still think there's other factors that are pushing it up, and riding along with gold, it could act and price more like a precious metal rather than an industrial metal that could balance that out. So this is why I'm not really, that's why I'm not saying that silver is going to go to $40 but I still am thinking that even 12 months from this very date, I think $36 silver. Gold, there's a lot of things that have kept gold up and continuing to climb, and I think we may see potentially $3,000 or $3,050 dollar gold within 12 months.
Yeah, I'm with you. I look at it like, do I think that the currency is going to stop debasing? No. Do I think inflation's coming? Yes. Do I think there's going to be world strife, the Zelensky type issues continuing to matriculate? All of those factors, I think, are just driving gold. And of course, if you look at the really smart money, the central banks and the like, they're buying it like crazy, and that's why I'm a buyer. I believe that it's an important place to be. I don't think it's where we should have all of our assets by any stretch, but I think it's a very, very important position to hold. So
I agree.
Here's now kind of on your expertise. There's a lot of people who are always concerned about counterfeit in this market, fake bars, fake gold bars, fake, those kind of things. How would you advise somebody to kind of protect themselves from those types of purchases?
Well, if you are dealing with a legitimate dealer, most of those, because their reputations are on the line, they're going to make sure they're not getting any fake gold and silver. So, but I always of the mind to trust but verify. I have, that this is well worth it, especially if you own any amount of gold. I have a precious metals verifier.
Yeah.
And this thing has been invaluable. It's not
Yeah.
100% trustworthy, unless you have an XRF machine, which my local coin shop has an XRF machine, and they've actually tested some things for me. But I've actually found at one of the LCSs I've gone to several times. In fact, one right before a transaction was made, all I had to do was just look at the gold, and I could say, "There's fake gold." I whispered to them, "That's fake." And they were about to buy it, and I was like, because I could just tell by looking at it. So I actually saved them like $4,000 or $5,000 in that transaction.
Wow.
But others, I've also found some fake silver that they have for sale, and I was like, this is fake, and pull it out. I guess if you buy enough and you handle it enough, you can kind of tell if something's real or not just by feeling it and looking at it. But I think tools like that, I also have something called the Pocket Pinger.
Yeah.
And this is a great little device that that you can use, for the sound of it. There's an app that you can download to be able to test the sound of it. These things are pretty inexpensive, and I actually sell them, or they're sold through you can click on a link, and it's a little affiliate link. You can click in the description of any of my videos to get one of those if you want. It helps the channel out a little bit, but yeah, things like that are really good. But yeah, I think it's about most products are okay, but you got to be careful out there for sure, especially who you buy from, especially if you're buying from eBay or peer to peer. You know, there's you want to make sure everything is trustworthy, whether you're buying no matter the source.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, we have the most advanced XRF you can get. And we also, of course, have sonar equipment. We have the impedance, you know, with like your Sigmas and different things. It's so funny. I love the sound of silver, you know, kind of clinging against itself. It's kind of amazing. But I agree. I think it's all about staying with that's it. It's staying with a reputable dealer that has something on the line. And you know, I can tell you from experience here at Summit Metals, Jose one time did a transaction with, I think it was a fellow over Reddit, who had a lot of bars sent in. They looked virtually identical. One of them clearly did not pass. So it's kind of, and that's typically, I think, the way it happens. It's not like here's a whole bunch of counterfeit goods. It's here's one that I just happened to sneak in among the others, you know, that kind of thing, because they assume you're not going to actually check. And we do. We have to. It's so important to our business. So, all right, you talked a little bit about the movement of gold and silver. There's a lot of things that are happening kind of globally, these economic shifts. Where do you see precious metals as continuing to be relevant and important throughout, say, the next decade?
There has been so many things that have come up in the world of technology, and especially with cryptocurrencies, and that has not stopped gold and silver. I mean, hardly. I mean, you know, it's amazing with Bitcoin reaching $107,000 a Bitcoin, and all the other stuff, but yet precious metals hold true. Now, I will say that over the last probably 3, 4, 5 months, maybe even a little longer, precious metal sales have been down overall, and people have been selling more than buying, at least anecdotally from what I've seen and others have talked about. But it's starting to pick back up again, and it's not truly. I mean, there's still a lot of hardcore stackers out there, and it's a growing amount. And I've been seeing it on my channel. Say, hey, I'm new. I've only been stacking a month. I'm seeing more and more new people come in, and I applaud them. I think it's great. Because silver never dies, gold never dies. It hangs on. There's nothing that can stop it. And of course, with all the geopolitical uncertainty out there, that just exacerbates it. The fact that central banks are accumulating gold, and there's even strategic reserves of silver that some of these nations are gathering. Russia, for one, but others. And the United States has some silver as well, at least that I've seen, for strategic reserves, to at least to some degree, and be in with the working stock from the mint and stuff like that. But I think we're going to see more and more of that. And I think we're going to see, as nations see that silver really is critical for a lot of electronics, I think they want to have, as a nation, enough of it on hand if they needed it in case of a supply chain issue, much like what we saw in 2020.
Sal, you have been incredibly open about sharing your collection. on your channel. I watched every single bit of it. I thought it was just amazing. You have a couple of pieces I'm sure you cherish above others. What are those and what's the story behind it? Why?
Well, my favorite gold piece would have to be the 2009 Ultra High Relief Gold Double Eagle. It's just it's a take on the 1907 version, which was Augustus St. Gaudens's original vision for what he thought the Gold Double Eagle should be. And literally it was struck on two eagle planchets, which are the $10 eagle. And the eagle was the first gold coin that the United States Mint had produced. So they took two planchets and in experimenting with this, put them together and struck this double thick coin. And it's just very high relief, absolutely stunning, beautiful. And you know that it is considered probably one of the most beautiful gold coins in the world. And I just love the design of that. And I was able to get one from the Mint, and I remember it just like it was yesterday when I ordered it. It cost $1,189 from the Mint back in the day in 2009. And January the 29th is when I think we could place the orders. And so it just, that's probably my favorite gold coin. I just love the look of that coin, the packaging and everything.
By the way, you're making me prophetic, because I literally said you are an unbelievable fountain of information as it relates to these things. The detail, the dates, the amazing, history, of all these products. It's absolutely incredible. I hope this channel realizes the depth of your understanding of these products. It's incredible. Way to go, Sal. I love it.
Well, thank you. But there's a lot to learn still too on so many different coins. And for the silver, it's tough. There's a lot of cool silver coins, and I like the really thick stuff. This is one I brought with me. This is from a series from the Republic of Chad, and this I think is a Scottsdale product, and they made these things, and this is an actual coin. But I like it. This is a 5 ounce, and this is the size of a silver eagle and in the diameter. But I love creative things like this. And there's so many things that you can get in silver like that. But it might have to be the wedge-tailed eagle. And that's a PerthNet product too. But again, there's so many different designs. And in fact, here I have an example of one. The Proof wedge-tail eagle. This one's a little bit tarnished, but just love that eagle on this side, and that's a pretty cool coin. But that's just what I'm thinking now. But of course, most of us don't like the monarch on the obverse, but this side is really cool.
Yeah. All right, well, we're winding down. Thank you so much, Sal. Again, if you haven't, please subscribe, like the channel. Let's conclude with this. You have this work that you put in and day out. Give me an understanding of kind of where you see the channel going in the coming years. How do you see yourself continuing to add value to this community?
Well, I thought to myself, how can I grow faster? Because I'm a very slow growing channel. Now, recently growth has picked up a little bit more, but, and I'm like, what can I do new to add value and maybe grow more? And I really do want to think about it as how can I add value to the community rather than thinking of selfishly, how can I grow? And I really don't know. Usually if you try something brand new, then it can be a big risk. It can actually hurt your channel as opposed to help it. And I'm so kind of regimented in some way, but I've got to think about that. I think my niche right now, honestly, as much as I love to provide education, is the news segment. Those tend to do better, and it seems that people find more value in that. And so if I could try to stay on top of that and do it, but I'm going to think about it. I've thought about certain aspects of it. I know one thing I'd like to do is maybe try to involve the viewers a little bit more and tell their stories. And I have some ideas. I've been thinking about that for several months now, how to make that work. Well, I'm going to think about that more, but I want to be able to tell their stories where they may not have a voice. If they have a smaller channel or no channel at all, but they want to get the word out, or if I can instill in them the encouragement to bring that word forth, either through an interview or if they're too shy to come on camera, some way that I can be able to tell their story. because I think I think that's something that I could use my platform to bring the word out, because there's so many profound comments from viewers on my channel. It's like, that's brilliant. Of course, I try to shout them out and mention that, hey, this person said this, it was great. I thought it was awesome, and wanted to share it with you. And so if I could take and build upon that, I think that might be where I could see the channel going.
Okay, well, let's conclude with one last question. You had many options when it came to who you would, choose to work with, as you've done with Summit Metals on your channel. What gave you the comfort or allowed you to feel like this was the right choice for you?
Your transparency and your vision. Summit Metals is branching out. There's so many different things that they're interested and involved in. The gold silver swap idea, I think, is great. And there's other things down the pipe too. But I think that's one of the biggest things, that you guys really are thinking about, things that even to some extent may compete with Summit Metals. And the gold silver swap thing is something that could be a competitor in some ways. So I mean, to me, it's like you guys have gone above and beyond to help the customer. Even when there's situations where I've had situations on my channel where people have commented, well, Summit Metals didn't do that, they didn't ship on time. It's like, and you guys are willing to take those. And I've had people email me, and you guys will respond, very detailed responses on things, and try to make things as right as possible. There's only so much you can do with some customers, but you guys have gone above and beyond, I think, in order to provide good customer service. And that's extremely important, because you think about it, each of those is if there's any negativity, it potentially can come back on me.
Sure.
So who I align myself with is a testimony to my reputation as well.
Yeah.
But it's in our best interest together to be able to provide that service. And if I can help, and if you can help the customer to the best of our ability, we're not going to please everybody, and we shouldn't spend too much time trying to do that. But you guys you do your best, and you do a very good job. And I think that is showing itself. And I think that's a testimony to your growth, because you've grown a lot, and it's amazing to see.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. We absolutely do the best we can to just absolutely delight our customers. We take every call, we answer every email. We're very focused on it, and we really do value the partnership that we created with you on a very personal level, me to you. I very, very much appreciate the insights and the things we've discussed in private. You've been great. So again, thank you so much. For those who haven't, please subscribe to the Salivate Metal channel. It's unbelievable. I know you'll love it. You'll gain a lot of insights, comfort, confidence in what you should be doing next. And with that, I'd say thank you again, Sal. We really appreciate you, and please stay tuned. We've got so many more exciting things coming down the pipe. And with that, happy stacking.